you What's your favourite food? What's your favourite instrument? What's your favourite channel? Yes, my furry friend, ESPN Classic, your favourite channel. Let's remind our viewers how you made it so, shall we? Press Services on your Sky remote and scroll down to Favourite Channels. Then with the blue button, go down until you reach channel 442. Now, once highlighted, press down select and job done. ESPN Classic is now one of your favourite channels. You see, even a monkey like you can do it. For more total entertainment, go to ESPN Classic on Sky Channel 442.
In July 2003, a revolutionary new order swept into the West London footballing citadel of Stamford Bridge, turning the Blue Army of Chelsea into a Red Army, marching to a new tune, the tune of a little-known Russian billionaire. Chairman Ken may still be chairman, but the effigies are being torn down. The new icon is one Roman Arkadievich Abramovich. His plan to lead Chelsea to the promised land, however long it takes.
Do you remember Moses? He spent 40 years in the desert with his people to make them forget slavery.
Russia. That's our subject today.
It's all just a little bit of history repeating.
This is the story of how a one-man Russian revolution took down one of the meanest empires football has ever seen, armed with nothing except enough cash to bury Nelson's column.
Suddenly, we become the richest club in the world. I mean, it really was like, you know, all your Christmases coming at once.
You think, oh, God, what's going to happen to the club? And all this rumours about, will he turn it into a car park?
No one's ever heard of this guy. He's come out of nowhere as sort of waving this magic wand to save us. You think, why on earth is he doing that?
It shows the Russian character, you know. You come from nowhere, you just conquer.
Hello, good evening and welcome to Roman Abramovich's Burn a Billion, the show where you, the average pauper, gets to experience what it's like to be so rich you can own an entire country, never mind a football team.
So, how do you rewrite nearly 100 years of football heritage? First off, let the people see the meanness of the old leader and his ruthlessness with his enemies.
They've all run for cover, which is typical politicians.
Show them how peasants' revolts were crushed by any means necessary.
Chelsea Football Club have been told that if they go ahead with plans to use an electric fence to control soccer hooliganism, they will face legal action.
And make sure you reveal how the old tyrant even set the paramilitary wing against his own people. Roman Abramovich planned his revolution carefully, even though it is hard to resist a Russian billionaire with a larder full of cash. He knew he wanted to buy a football club, but first he had to decide where.
British football is a business venture and very competitive. The quality of the teams is pretty similar. There's not one big name overshadowing the others. That's why I liked British football.
But I remember the conversation Roman and I had many years ago, 5-6 years ago, is that he would like to get involved with something in England, a football club. So even then he was talking about it.
So, it was all aboard the private Boeing 767, his destination, Old Trafford. His mission, to buy the richest club in Britain. But £750 million was a little too much money, even for a multi-billionaire. Next on the list was the budget option, Spurs. After a meeting at White Hart Lane with chairman Daniel Levy, Abramovich was very keen. But a wrong turn in his helicopter and Spurs' dreams came crashing down.
He journeys by private helicopter and private Boeing jet, and he was on his way back from that meeting, travelling across London, and his attention was drawn to Chelsea Village, and it's from the skyline a magnificent arena. When he looked down at it and thought, well, that certainly compares to what I've just seen at White Hart Lane, I'd rather purchase Stamford Bridge.
So Abramovich forgot all about buying Spurs and focused on Chelsea instead.
I think Spurs fans would be absolutely livid if they realised how close they came to having Abramovich as their new owner.
As Roman researched Chelsea further, nothing could have prepared him for the decadence he was to encounter. Unperturbed by this appalling display, Roman decided to prepare an approach to the notoriously prickly but hard-up Chairman Ken Bates to see if a thick slice of Roman's hard-earned could soften the blow with an offer of comfortable exile. The link to Abramovich was through Israeli super agent Pini Zahavi, whilst Chelsea chief executive Trevor Birch was brought in by Premiership football agent Jonathan Barnett.
I'd had a conversation with Pini, who I've known for a long time, and Pini, we were discussing, and he had this person, and he was looking to buy a major football club, and he mentioned a couple of names, and I said, how about Chelsea? And he said, do you think they're available? And I said, yes, I'm pretty sure.
The meeting took place at the heart of the bourgeois establishment in the exclusive restaurant Les Ambassadeurs. Padded waists and padded wallets encouraging Comrade Birch to play his part in the heroic struggle.
We all agreed that Pini had an investor and would bring that person to the table. And we asked Trevor whether he had the power, and he said yes. And so he said he would bring Chelsea to the table, and that was the outcome.
If you've got it, spend it, because you can't take it with you.
When Abramovich finally met Birch, ideological purity was no longer on the menu. Birch nearly choked on the £140 million that was on offer. He knew all resistance was futile. Within hours, Roman Arkadievich Abramovich and Kenneth William Bates met for the first time ever at the Dorchester, shaking hands on a historic deal.
He's bought 51% of Chelsea Village, which owns everything around here. He's bidding for the rest at 35p, same for everybody. That's £60 million.
More money, more money, more money.
He's clearing the short-term debts we have, is about 30 million.
More money, more money, more money.
He has no problem with the bond now, 75 million, piece of cake. And then he's putting more money in to improve the team and buy new players. So total commitment is £200 million.
Not that much, really, is it? Small change, loose change you keep in the car.
Rid of the club's crippling debts and 17 million quid richer himself, Bates was happy, but Abramovich was even happier.
I guessed that the papers would write stories, but I didn't expect they would write so many and for so long. Football is almost a religion in Britain, so I knew that such an event would produce a big bang.
I'd written, after about 2 or 3 days after his takeover, that Abramovich would spend £150 million in his first 2 years. In fact, as I typed that onto my computer and as I saw it appear in print the next day, I looked at it and I thought, can that really be true?
I heard, in actual fact, he's richer than God. He's got about £4 more than God has. As you God phones him up, say, Rabbi Bubler, do me a favour, give me a few quid.
Here we were at one stage talking about we couldn't buy anybody and there might be some serious financial difficulties on the horizon, and suddenly we become the richest club in the world.
As Roman's fantasy football started, the Chelsea fans thought Christmas had come early.
That's nearly 13 million in 24 hours.
Fiona and trays all the way from Ireland, especially for Damien Duff.
It seems there's no limit to Mr. Abramovich's ambition or his spending power.
The cost is now £60 million and counting.
So what do the old guard make of the new leader?
He comes in the dressing room, he speaks to the guys and tries to say, you know, as much as he can. And if you can't really speak to him directly because he's still going through the process of speaking English, then you probably speak to one of his right hands. And they will translate to him because he's quite generous, you know, he's quite open to speak to anybody.
Have the changes brought in a new mood among the players?
I mean, we are excited because you come so many new things. Everybody's on his toes now because you have to succeed, you understand? You have to be on top of your game all the time.
By the end of his shopping spree, Roman had done 110 million quid on players in just over 4 weeks.
Stunned as a mullet.
A total shock.
Unbelievable, unprecedented,
absolutely speechless.
Just astounding.
So, where did all that money come from? After growing up an orphan in Siberia, Roman Abramovich found his way to the big city, where he studied at the Oil and Gas Institute in Moscow. Not exactly the obvious training for his first business, knocking out from a Moscow market stall anything he could lay his hands on. Obviously, the next step for a Moscow barrow boy is to become a millionaire oil trader and hobnob with the country's billionaire elite. Stands to reason. Then you get yourself in with the big boss, President Yeltsin, and Boris is your uncle. Fortunately, you end up with a nice little oil and gas company and get elected to a seat in Parliament. Then you're on your own. A few more moves, your feet don't touch the ground, and you're elected governor of Chukotka, a Siberian province with more oil than Kuwait. From backstreets to billionaire boys club, with no one really knowing how you did it.
I'm such a typical football fan, I couldn't care less where his money comes from.
We can't just allow anyone to walk in and buy a club as if it was just any other commodity. There ought to be more examination of the individuals that want to come in and do that.
He should be investigated. We can't have him take over Chelsea. I think, what are you on about? We're broke.
No sooner was Chelsea a done deal than the question started. Was Abramovich just another dodgy Russian looking to move his cash? Can you buy success? And would Roman splash out even more money? This and much more coming up on Chelsea. Roman Abramovich came to England, saw Premiership football and conquered Chelsea with the aid of £250 million. He started a revolution and stunned the world with his spending power.
And the game is Burn a Billion, or as they say in Russia, Bling Blingsky. And what's on offer? Well, it's Omsk, a nice lovely team from Central Asia. It'll cost you £10 million. Not so keen on sport? Then how about a nice bit of charity work? Because next on offer is Chukotka in Siberia.
This charming province is 20,000 square miles of frozen tundra, the size of France. Don't forget to wrap up warm.
Nice prize. Not so sure about the location.
In the province in which he governed, he apparently is treated like a god, but he has set up hospitals and schools, even a cinema, and financed many of these projects himself.
The Abramovich spending spree stretched to a brand spanking new hospital, a cinema, several schools, the province's first ever hotel, 46 new homes, a hairdresser's, public baths, and the finest caravan park money can buy.
So that's another £150 million gone. Now, if you don't do cold, here's warm. A 350-foot ocean-going yacht moored on the French Riviera. That's 50 million quid to you.
He ain't no schmuck bubbler. You don't make zillions if you're a schmuck bubbler. You might blow zillions, you don't make zillions.
More billionaire boys' toys now. It's a Boeing 767 jet and a 26-seater helicopter. Not bad for 35 million quid.
To think that there's this person who's got so much money, it's the gross national product of Papua New Guinea or whatever it is. It's an absurd amount of money.
We've got a townhouse in Belgravia for £28 million. The 440-acre country estate in Sussex, complete with polo park, costs £12 million. We'll be right back after some messages about our sponsor.
Fellas putting in a load of money, happy days.
Nice bit of money.
We get loads of money.
Just give us more money, we can use it.
Loads of money. Loads of money. People say you can't buy success. You can buy success, bubbler. You can buy success, that's a fact. You can, if you know how to spend the money.
I haven't thought about how much money I am prepared to spend. I suppose it depends on how well we play and how determined we are to win. If I feel we need to buy any particular player to get the results we want, I'll just spend more money.
Adventures abroad might bring Roman success, but it's on the home front back in Russia that his revolution is most threatened.
The person who actually earned his fortunes on the Russian market, on the Russian wealth, on the Russian resources, should invest the money back in Russia. If he is such a football fan, why not investing the whole £100 million or something like that into the Russian football? The mayor of Moscow, Yuri Loskov, was not very pleased at all. On one of the Moscow government meetings, he actually said that Russia was spat on by Roman Abramovich.
In Russia, we have lived in a free country for a relatively short time. People are not used to the idea that people can spend their own money the way they want. Every little politician readily gives away advice on how to live.
Trevor Birch, Chelsea chief executive and revolutionary loyalist. He brought in the Russians, he signed the new players. And what did he get? The iron parachute.